Hello guys, welcome to Regi Kiddies. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bolaji and this is Regi Kiddies. In this video, I will be showing you how to construct a 4-corner sutana for a male child using the pattern we drafted in our last video. And in case you haven't seen those videos, kindly check the description area below for the link to the tutorials. On this channel, I upload valuable content regularly for both male and female child. That's why you need to subscribe to this channel for regular updates so that we can grow this community together as we learn. With that being said, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Here is the pattern I drafted in the last episode of this video series, and I've used this pattern in cutting out my fabrics. When cutting out my fabrics, I folded my fabrics in 4 places. I folded vertically first, then horizontally. Either of the two can come first. You can either fold horizontally and vertically, or vertically and horizontally. So with this, there is no joining on the shoulder line. I folded my fabrics vertically and I folded horizontally, and at the center I have this. When I was drafting this pattern, I told you guys the front and the back were cut together. So, and because I folded my fabrics into 4, that is 2 for the front and 2 for the back. So automatically I have the front and the back panels cut out together. So in constructing a male 4-corner sutana, the first step is to construct the neckline. So in finishing the neckline, a facing is needed. So I will be showing you how to draft the facing now, then how to cut it out and attach it to the neckline neatly. The measurement I will be using in drafting pattern for the facing is 2 inches by 3 inches. 2 inches for the width and 3 inches for the depth. And this is going to be the center front and center back. Just the way I have it on the bodies. And this edges is going to be the shoulder line. The measurement I used is based on how wide I want the facing to be. If you want yours to be very wide, you can increase the measurement to 2.5, and the max you can use for a kid is 3 inches. Then for the depth, the max you can go is 4 inches, because the facing must not get to the chest level. So firstly, I will separate my pattern from my fabrics. Before separating your pattern from your fabrics, make sure you place notches on the appropriate places, just like mine. I have my notches placed on the shoulder lines, both sides of the shoulder lines, here and here. And I have my notches on the neck depth points as well. Then I notched the waist level, which is here, and I notched the center at the hemline. So when cutting out your fabrics as well, don't forget to add your hem allowance. I use 2.5 inches as the hem allowance because there is no hem allowance on the pattern, and I have my seam allowances added on my pattern already. On the neckline I have 1/2 inch, on the armhole 1/2 inch, and by the side I use 0.75. So I can proceed in separating my pattern from my fabrics. So after doing this, I will take my bodies to the ironing board and I will iron out the center, so that when fixing my facing, it will be easier for me to locate the center when finishing the facing. So I will pick up my pattern like so. Then I will trace out the neckline just the way I have it on the bodies, and I will make sure the center aligned properly, which is the edges of my pattern paper, and I will hold it together with my masking tape. Now I have my pattern in place with the help of my masking tape. So the next step is to trace out the shape I have on the neckline area. Okay, so I will separate my pattern now from my new pattern paper, and I will trace out my lines clearly. Okay, so after tracing out my neckline, then I will insert the wideness of my facing, which I said I would be using 2 inches for the wideness, and for the depth I will use 3 inches or 2.5 inches. So if I inserted the 3 inches and it's too wide for me, I will reduce it to 2.5 inches. So from this point, which is where the neck depth stop, I will measure 2 inches. And here too, on the depth, I will measure the same 2 inches. Then I will connect the 2 points together. Okay, then on this line, I will insert the depth of the facing. I will extend this line. This is the neckline I traced out. I will extend it forward to meet the 2 inches points, like so. Then I will take this downwards by 3 inches. So here is the 3 inches point. So I will just extend the line in a slanting manner that I have it already. I will just extend it downwards like so until it touches the 3 inches point. Okay, then I will confirm the measurement I have from this 3 inches point to the shoulder line. So that is going to be the exact measurement I will insert on the other side in order to have a straight line. Okay, so now I have it connected on a straight line. So this is not part of the measurement, because I don't want you to get confused. I'm just drawing out the lines so that you will understand better. So this is not part of the lines. So the vertical lines are extended to this point. So I'll just take this and bring it upward. Okay guys, now I can confirm the measurement I have on the lower part of the facing. So I have about 2.625, and here on the upper part I have 1 inch. So if I don't want this part to be as wide as this, I can as well reduce it to 2 inches or 2.5 inches. So I don't want it to be too wide, so I can decide to reduce it to 2 inches. So I want it to be double of what I have here. So I will just reconnect the point to the 2 inches point I have on the shoulder line, like so. So now you can see what I have. Then I will cross this out. So this is not part of the measurement anymore. So this is my facing now, as you can see. So the next step is to add seam allowance. On the neckline, half of an inch of seam allowance is needed, and at the lower part, half of an inch is needed. In total, that makes it 1 inch. And because on the pattern that I used in tracing this out, I have my seam allowance added on this part already. So I will not bring the seam allowance to the neckline. So I will add the whole of the 1 inch to the lower part of the facing. I hope you get that. So I will take this downward by 1 inch. So the 1 inch is for the lower part and the upper part. Okay, then I will extend this downwards to the seam allowance point. So now I have my facing drafted. Then by this side, which is the width of the facing, I will be adding half of an inch as seam allowance in order to finish the edges on both sides. So after 2 inches, I will add half of an inch. So half of an inch here and half of an inch here. And I will connect the 2 points together. Then I have this. Now I can proceed in cutting out my facing pattern. So firstly, I will be cutting out the neckline I traced out from the bodies, because this is the part that will be attached together with the bodies. So I will cut it out like so. So now I have this for my facing. So guys, now I have my facing pattern pinned together with my fusible interfacing. I folded this into 4 places, just the way I folded fabrics for the main bodies. So I folded vertically and I folded horizontally. As I said earlier, either of the two can come first. So the quality of the fusible interfacing I'm using is the cotton one, and this is the best in the market for now. We have different types, different texture and quality of fusible interfacing. We have the paper one, we have the polythene, and we have the cotton. So, and from the cotton as well, there are different grades for cotton fusible interfacing. So when you get to the market, you can feel the texture in order to know the best you can get. But the most durable out of all the fusible interfacing is the cotton one. So I will be cutting out my fusible interfacing now. After cutting, I will fuse it together with my Sutana fabrics, then cut out again. So guys, now I have my fusible interfacing cut out, as you can see. Then I will remove my pattern, then open it up after placing my notches on the appropriate places, like the shoulder line, the center of the neckline, and the center of the facing at the lower part. So I will open it up and place it on the wrong side of my fabrics. So I will look this closely in order to know the wrong side of my fabrics. Okay, so here is the wrong side. So the shiny part of my fusible interfacing will be facing the wrong side of my Sutana fabrics. You can see what I have. So I will pin it like so, then take it to my ironing board and fuse the two together, after which I will cut it out. So guys, now I have my Sutana facing fused together with the fusible interfacing, and I cut it out as I said earlier. So after which I gave it a good press, and I've ironed out the center of the Sutana bodies as well. So now it's time to attach the facing and the Sutana bodies together. So in doing this, I will open up the bodies. I will open it up like so. So one side for front and one for the back. And this shiny side is the right side, while the other side is the wrong side. So I will chalk this side as the wrong side. And in case your fabrics have no wrong or right side, that is, the Sutana fabrics are the same on both sides, all you need to do is just to choose one side as the right side and choose the other side as the wrong side. It's as simple as that. So now, because the facing is coming to the right side of the prophet's garment, the positioning of this is going to be the right side of the facing facing the wrong side of the garment. So by the time I flip this inward, so this is going to be showing on the right side. On the right side, I will have the facing like this. So you can run a test first before stitching if you are not very sure of what you did. The right side of the facing is going to face the wrong side of our sutana bodice, like so. So after placing the two on each other, then I will pin the notches first. So I will align the notches I have on the facing and the one I have on the bodice together, like so, and I'll pin. Then on the shoulder line, I will align it together, then pin. So after pinning, the next step is to add my seam allowance. The seam allowance I added is 1/2 inch. So I will be stitching this all round with 1/2 inch. But you need to pay a closer attention at this point, because this is the most important part of this tutorial. So in order to bring out the shape of your male child 4-corner sutana, you need to follow these steps. The 4 angles I have on the sutana are this point, this, and this. So I will be drawing out a diagonal line on that point, on the 4 points, like so, and I'll position my ruler in such a way this point and the point I have at the lower part of my facing connect properly. I'm connecting the 2 points like so. So with this, my line will fall on the center of this angle. So I'll just draw a straight line outward like so, like 1.5 inches is okay. And I will repeat the same process on the 4 points. So I have 3 points left. So after this, 2 points left. So that is the second point. This is the third point. Why this is the fourth point. So these 4 points are what make this sutana a prophet sutana. So without the 4-corner neckline, it can never be called a prophet sutana. So for this reason, you need to pay attention on the neckline very well. The neckline is what makes this a prophet sutana. So you must construct your square neckline in such a way you end up having a perfect square shape after constructing your sutana. If you don't pay attention to this, you can end up having something like an oval shape. It will not look like a square at all. So now that I have all the lines drawn out on those points, then I will mark out my seam allowance. So the seam allowance is 1/2 inch. I will mark it and I will connect this properly. So after marking out my 1/2 inch on this side, then I will place my ruler in order to connect the points together. So I will need to connect the points together in such a way the points meet the lines I drew out on the 4 points. So here is 1/2 inch from the shoulder line, and as you can see, where the line falls on the diagonal line I drafted out. Then I'll come to the other side of my neckline and I will mark my seam allowance as well. So now I have my lines connected properly and I make sure the seam allowances falls exactly on the diagonal lines. then I can pin my notch point again. So after pinning the notch point, then I will pin the 4 angle points. So that is the angular point I have on the neckline. Okay, so now I can take this to my sewing machine and I will be stitching on the seam allowances I drafted out, and I'll make sure I follow the shape exactly where I have it on the facing. Then I will be back to show you the next step. Now guys, I have the facing stitched together with the neckline, as you can see, and on the other side I have this. So the next step is to place notches on the 4 angular points I showed you earlier. This point, this point, this point, and this point. So now I will be placing notches on the 4 angular points. When I'm about getting to the seam point, I will stop, but I will open this up as much as I can, but I will make sure it doesn't get to the seam points. So the next step is to take this back to my sewing machine and I will be applying a top stitching. In this case, the top stitching is going to be on the bodice and not on the facing, because the facing will be showing on the right side of our garment. So after flipping this to the right side, seam must not be showing on the facing. So for this reason, the top stitching is going to be on the garment. So here is my seam allowance. My seam allowance will be laying on the garment like so, and I will top stitch all around the neckline. Then I will be back to show you the next step. So guys, now I have the top stitch applied on the seam allowance, and as you can see, the top stitching is not showing on the right side of the facing. The top stitching is on the main garment. You can see I have it showing on the wrong side. So after top stitching, I turned the facing to the right side, I laid it properly, and I gave it a very good press. Then I ironed out the edges in order to finish it properly. So the next step is to take this back to my sewing machine. Then I will be stitching on the edges of the facing all around, and I will make sure the center of the facing falls on the center of the bodies. So guys, now I have the edges of my facing properly finished. As you can see, this is one side and this is the other side. You can see the shape of the neckline really come out very well, so which makes this a 4-corner neckline sutana for a male child. So thank you guys for your patience on this episode of our Prophet Sutana for a male child series. And if you found values from this video, please smash the like button and also subscribe for regular updates. See you next time when I will be dropping another amazing content from my wealth of knowledge. Till then, keep watching, keep learning.